Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of pop culture, social media, sports, reality TV, hockey. We're going to talk about all that today. Really excited. Finally, it took a while, but we got him on. We are with, you might have recognized him from Vanderpump Rules on Bravo, and you might have heard him on many podcasts, talking about hockey. We're with Jax Taylor. Jax, welcome to Popternative.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. I know it's been a kind of a going back and forth trying to work this out, but I'm glad we finally got to make this happen.
No, absolutely, for sure. I mean, before we kind of started taping, we were talking a little bit about, you played hockey all your life, and there was kind of a point in time where you weren't sure kind of what you wanted to do, if you wanted to play hockey as a career. We'll obviously talk about hockey, but how did Vanderpump Rules, how did that start? When did you kind of when did you kind of know that, the show was going to be a thing, you were going to be part of it? How did that transpire?
To be honest, I was 30 years old at the time the show started. I'm 38 now. I was actually on my way out of here. I was doing some modeling. I was kind of traveling the world. I lived in Europe for a while. I lived in New York and Miami. I came here. I was living here for a while. I was modeling, and I hit 30 years old, and I'm just kind of like, I'm burnt out, man. I'm burnt out. I'm 30 years old. I've been all over the world. I miss my parents. They're getting older. I kind of wanted just to go back to Florida, maybe get a job. I kind of want to be a firefighter. And I just thought, you know what, it was time, And so I literally packed up my whole truck. I had a truck at the time, and I packed it all up. I was working for Lisa Vanderpump for about a month prior to me leaving, just for some extra cash. Just before I left, I wanted to save up a little bit. And she said, hey, listen, I have this show idea. And I was like, you know what? I've been promised shows before. I've been doing this for a very long time. I appreciate it, but I don't think this is for me anymore. I'm 30 years old. I've had a lot of fun. I've traveled the world. I've done everything. I've modeled, partied all over the world. I promised that I made some promises home that I'm going to go home and get a job and just live a normal life. Lisa Vanderpump was like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. You're going to stay here. You're going to do this show. And I'm like, Lisa, I can't. I've made a promise to my father that I'm going to come home. Long story short, I ended up staying. I was kind of like, shit, what am I going to do? How am I going to tell my dad that I'm staying? I made promises to him. Anyway, and it ended up working out, obviously. But yeah, in the first season, I was just kind of like, we weren't getting paid that much at the time. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't a ton of money. It was enough, but it wasn't a ton. And I was just kind of getting by. I was paying off some debts that I had, and then at the end of the season, they were like, wow, this show's a huge success. We got ratings through the roof. We're going to do another season. I'm like, another season of this? This is crazy. this show is it's crazy. How are people so interested in our lives? Because we're not really that interesting. Apparently, I didn't think so. Mm-hmm. And then I guess cut to 7 years later, the show's a huge success and everyone's doing really well for themselves. And yeah, it's been a fun ride. It really has.
When was kind of the moment? Because you mentioned the show's been on for quite some time now. What was kind of the moment where you realized, wow, this is crazy, where your social media feed started exploding? And when was that kind of like, wow, I'm kind of developing a following?
The first week of the show starting. I mean, I just joined Twitter. I had 5 followers. I just joined. And then by the end of the first episode, I had 4,000 followers, which is a lot. This was when I was 30 years old. This is 7 years ago. So, So I mean, that's how it started, and I was still trying to learn social media, and I was trying to figure it all out. And, it just happened overnight, and then people started recognizing me. I'm getting gas, and I'm like, this is awkward. I mean, again, this is 7 years ago. I was a little weirded out by it. People knew who I was, and people are talking to me and screaming at me down the street when I'm getting gas. So it was weird.
What are some of the misconceptions about being on a reality show? What are some things that people talk to you about? A fan comes up to you or someone talks to you and they say something and then you're like, man, that's completely not what it's like. That's the opposite.
You gotta remember, we film six to 8 months in between there. Mm-hmm. We film every day, all day. Okay. So that's not true. We film. We usually have one day off a week, and it's usually Sunday. but we film all day. So there's hours and hours and hours and hours of footage, okay? You got to break that show down into 45 minutes. An hour-long show is only 45 minutes because you need 15 minutes for commercials.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to remember there's so many characters, right? There's so many guys on the show, guys and girls on the show that they each need their little bit. So they're just cutting storylines in there. And sometimes you come out good, sometimes you come out bad, but it's all on the editors. They make it like the editors kind of control the way you're going to look. Mm-hmm. Okay. We don't talk about every single thing that, in our lives on the show. So people are like, oh, I thought you did this, or I thought you were going to do that, or how come you don't do this? It's like, I don't know. I don't, they cut things out of the show, or that maybe you didn't see that part. And let's be honest, a reality show, it's not fun unless there's something going on. There's fights, there's arguing. So they cut all the small talk out, all the, adult conversations and all the boring shit like braiding each other's hair and shit. They cut all that out. They just want to show fighting and arguing. And then even then, if there's a fight, they show the fight. They don't show how the fight started or how it ended. So they'll be like, Jax, you're a fucking asshole. Well, you didn't see how it started. You didn't see how it ended. You didn't see how this whole fight started. And you'd be like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe Jax does have a point. It started like this. All you see is me going, ah! And they're like, what a crazy person. Well, I'm crazy because you didn't see 2 weeks ago how this all started, And people are always like, you're such a dick. You're such an ass. No, I'm not. I speak the truth. I say what's on everybody's mind. I'm not going to bullshit. Like, they always say, oh, you're such a liar, bullshitter. No, I'm the only one that's telling the truth, and everyone else denies everything. It is what it is.
It's funny because
I don't care. I've kind of gotten used to it over the years of being this and that. I mean, I don't give a shit. Like, trust me, my life's good. I'm happy as can be. So
no, for sure. I was just curious because there's so many things that people.
I'm just saying people are like, oh my god, you must live a sad life or you're depressed. No, if you were to see my house, I'm pretty happy. You see my life, I'm pretty good. Life's grand. But people like to attack me on Twitter. They're like, oh, you do this, or you're mean to this, or you're mean to that. It takes two to fight. When I'm fighting with Brittany or something like that, it takes two. 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, I am wrong. Mm-hmm. But whatever.
So I find it very interesting because we have had, like Tony Raines, who's on MTV's The Challenge and The Real World, and he's had, a lot of those episodes where he's like always looked like the bad guy and he's a mess and his life's like turned upside down. I mean, we talked about it and we were talking about how on Twitter, the people that like chirp you or tweet at you like, hey, Jax, I hate you.
Yeah.
They don't hate you. They just want your attention.
Exactly. They want me to respond. And usually the only time I respond, I don't want to say all the time, is when I'm drunk or I'm out at a bar and somebody will say something about me or my girlfriend. Then I'll go off. And my friends are like, why do you respond to that? They just want you to respond. I'm like,
they want you to do that. They want to rise. I mean, I just did an interview with Jack Hughes, who's supposed to go number 1 in the NHL draft 2019. I had him and a couple of players from the USA National Team Development Program. And so like now I'm starting to get kind of comments in the YouTube like, oh, the host of the show is so annoying. He's the worst. And it's just like, I feel like they want me.
You're doing better than them. You're doing better. People see people doing well. They want to knock them down.
Absolutely.
That's all it is.
When did you kind of, so we talked about it. I wanted to kind of save it for our listeners because I find it very interesting. You played hockey all your life. You were a goalie.
Right.
It's your heart and soul. But there was kind of a time where you kind of had to make a decision, right?
Yeah. I applied to some different colleges. I got into a couple different colleges to walk on. And I could have went and played juniors. My sister's boyfriend played juniors. He played for Sergeant Sting. Like I said, you get to that age where you're either going to go for it to go pro or you're not, it's not just fun anymore. Now it's like, are you going to do this for a living? Mm-hmm. And I just thought, you know what? I consider myself pretty good. I would have been a solid backup goaltender. I think I would have been a solid backup. Maybe I would have started. I had some great games. I didn't play on the best teams all the time. I like to play on weaker teams because I got more action. I got more work. Mm-hmm. I love to play. I would face a ton of shots every game because I played on weaker teams all the time. I never wanted to play on the best team. That was always my thing. I always wanted to play on the weaker teams because I got more action. And I always thought scouts would like that because I was always getting a ton of play. But I just found out, I was like, you know what? I'm at this age. Do I want to go this way? Do I want to go that way? And I just chose to go another way. I just chose to go the other way. It's not that I don't have the same love for the game. I love it so much. I just didn't think it was going to be my career.
No, for sure. I mean, it's gonna happen. I find it interesting because, when it's interesting because I find there's a lot of like similarities between hockey players and like reality stars or like actors and actresses because they kind of obviously have to be careful what they kind of say on social media and
Right.
the PR hat always has to be on. You're kind of like what I call a hybrid because you were kind of like you're a hockey player, but you're also on a reality show. Do you kind of see? And I see you interact with like former players and current players. They gotta be careful, and maybe that's why they don't want to do it because they're afraid that if they start tweeting more, it's just gonna get them in trouble.
It's crazy because all the people that tweet negative stuff, they all want to know what's going on. They just want to be heard. A lot of my friends from the NHL, I've gotten through because of the show. Like all the wives usually love to watch it, all the players' wives, and that's how I got hooked. I went to a game. The players started coming at me, so I went to a game in Detroit, and it was God, I can't remember what player it was. Shit, he doesn't play for the Red Wings anymore. He got traded to New Jersey, but it was starts with a Q, and he plays for Colorado.
Plays for Colorado
Quincy,
now?
Kyle Quincy.
Kyle Quincy, okay.
Kyle Quincy's girlfriend at the time came up to us while we were at the game. She said, come sit with us and the wives. I was like, oh my God. And that's how it all started. I was hanging out with all the wives, and then they all started chirping in. And then the husbands came down. They're like, oh, you're a hockey fan? I'm like, yeah, I know my stuff. And they're like, we watched the show too. So it was all from the show, yeah, pretty much.
You're it's funny because you're a Red Wings fan. Martin Firk,
love him. I tweeted him all the time.
He's a friend of the show. He's been on the show.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's been on. He's awesome. And
great guy. Yeah, I Instagram him. Every day I'm not talking over tweeting at him somehow.
He's a good guy. And we also have, he's in the system. He plays for in the AHL right now, but Vili Sayarvi, who is a very good defenseman in your system. He's also going to come on the show, but it's cool.
Have you ever had my idol, like my number one guy in the world to meet, and out of anybody in the entire world, if I could meet one person, I always get asked this question. Nobody knows who the hell it is except for hockey guys. Is Felix Pavin. He's my idol. Like I would love anything just to shake that guy's hand. Have you ever had his son on?
No, I have not.
His son plays, right? His son's a goalie.
I'm not sure.
He plays in the Quebec League.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, man, I did not know that. I usually know these things. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I'll have to look. I'll look that up. But what's funny?
Never get him on. Let him know that his name is Xavier. Xavier Potvin. He plays. He plays in the Quebec Major Junior League.
Yeah. Is he a goalie?
The goalie. Yeah.
I did not know that. That's crazy. Yeah. Felix the Cat's son plays in the Q. Yeah. I worked with the Q for many years too, but I stopped. I ended up ending my contract with them this year. But yeah, no, the junior hockey's amazing though. And do you follow the World Juniors at all?
I don't. I went to my first American Hockey League. I went to the Ontario Reign to go see my buddy Jack Campbell, who now has moved up for the Kings. They traded.
He was unreal in that tournament when he played.
Oh my. Dude, Jack Campbell's such a great guy. I can't speak highly enough of him. He's such a nice guy. I went to my first American Hockey League. It was about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive. I went out to Ontario, watched the game, and about a week later, he's just such a nice guy. He's just waiting for his turn to get called up. And Darcy Kemper got traded from the Kings to Arizona. Now Jack's getting his time, and I'm just so happy for him. And it was my first American Hockey League game. I got to say, not everybody enjoys hockey as much as I do, but if you do not like hockey or you don't think it's a great sport, go to an American League hockey game. It is a completely different game. The fans are rowdy. The fans get into it. People are throwing shit. It's by far such a different hockey game.
But you will talk to hockey players that have played in the AHL that are in the NHL now, and they will tell you that playing in the AHL is 10 times harder than playing in the NHL.
Yeah, I've had the same conversation. I was talking to, like, when I talked to Grant and Marty, and I told him that I was actually talking to Marty Turco about this. He's like, man, I was down seeing Jack Campbell play, and he's like, you went down to watch an American Hockey League? I'm like, yeah. He's like, what did you think? I'm like, it's a completely different game. I mean, these guys are itching to get in the NHL. I personally think it's almost better than an NHL game because these guys are hungry and they want to make it to the NHL. So
everyone's going 110%. Like, it's insane. Man,
they don't give a shit what they're. It's a job. At that point, you're like on the cusp of being a professional. I mean, they are professionals, but you're at the cusp of being like at the all-time at the NHL. So yeah.
What do you kind of think about, you go to a game, you tweet out at a player, you tweet out that you're at a game, an NHL game, and, people that see you on social media, because you're verified and they're verified too, they're going to kind of see that you tweeted out. Do you kind of enjoy the access? Because there's a hit or miss about the access where there's a right away, maybe you're at an LA Kings game, right? And you tweet something, they know you're there. Someone comes down and says, "Hey, can you do an interview or something?" The access is instantaneous. What do you kind of think about the access that social media?
It's been crazy, and it's funny you say that because when I first started getting all the attention from the NHL, like I even have corporate people from the NHL, like Nerva. I don't know if you know Nerva Millard. She works for the NHL. She's constantly sending me tickets to all the outdoor games. I get to go to all the All-Star games. And in the beginning, I loved it all. Like, oh, Jax, what game are you going to be at today? And in the beginning, it was awesome. But on the flip side is I wasn't able to enjoy the games because I would come down. I get to the games. They would send down their PR team, take pictures with the girls, go do an interview. Next thing you know, it's the end of the second period, and I missed the whole game. So it's got its pros and its cons. Brooke there's a woman named Brooklyn. She takes care of me for all the Kings games, and she was letting me use all her tickets in the beginning and stuff. But she was constantly sending down people, and I loved it. But I missed the game.
No,
so
for
now
sure.
I kind of timestamp it. I'll do it after I leave now.
Yeah, because I feel like that's gonna happen. What do you think is the coolest thing that this is a two-part question. First part is what do you think has been kind of the coolest thing that's happened to you or involving the show Vanderpump Rules, and what is like the coolest thing that's happened to you like outside of the show, like hockey or
hockey related or just in general?
Just in general. I mean, I want to hear something about Vanderpump Rules, but.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Well, hockey related and a little bit of Vanderpump Rules. I got to go to my first All-Star game in LA, and I brought my girlfriend. And LA, obviously, we do it up pretty large here, and they had a huge concert with Snoop Dogg, everybody. And I had backstage passes too. I had all the passes to everything. And so my buddy came, and my girlfriend was there, and we get into this huge tent, and it was just filled with all the hockey players and filled with everybody partying and drinking and unlimited booze and food, and I'm like, this is amazing, right? I'm here schmoozing with these guys, and then next thing, Brittany, my girlfriend's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bar and grab a drink. I sit down at a circle table. It's me, Bernie Perrant, Grant Fuhr, Mark Howe, and I'm just sitting here just chatting up stories from like the 80s, and I'm like a kid in a candy store. My girlfriend and my friend they're out partying, having fun. They're like, come on, let's go party, and I'm like, no, leave me alone. I'm just sitting here just like I'm talking to you, talking to Grant Fuhr, like just picking his pocket, like, hey, how did you start? Like, tell me some of these stories. And I literally was like, it was the best moment in my entire life. I can't think of anything else besides obviously meeting my girlfriend. It's sports related. It was like sitting at this table with like the legends, with gods. And it to me, these are gods. Like to some other people, they like celebrities, Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt, or whatever. These gentlemen are like my Johnny Depp. It's like I could care less if I see an actor walking down the street. I couldn't even care.
But like
you're walking down the street that plays hockey. I love it.
We're all people though. Like I find that interesting.
At the end of the day, we are, but yeah, but we're human and we watch people on TV and we're
I know.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's like I was a big music guy growing up. I'm still am, right? And like Sum 41's like my favorite band of all time, and I had one of the members on my show, and like it was so weird because 5 years ago, I would be like flipping out. But I'm like, you know what? You're a person. You're a person that's like really important to me. Like growing up, I listened to your band and everything, but you're a person. And we're having a conversation.
That's what I did. Like I would stay home on Friday nights and I would watch hockey night in Canada. And I would stay home and watch all these. And I studied goalies. I'd sit with my father and we would just study goaltending. And I would study. And I grew up with Felix Pavin. He was my idol. I grew up watching Grant Fuhr and all these guys, and now that I have them their cell phone numbers and I can just say, hey man, I'm coming for dinner, is like it's surreal to me. Yeah, they're athletes, and they're people, but to me growing up, these guys were gods. So I'm always gonna look at them a little bit higher. I know they're people, and I know that, but it's just one of those things where it's just one of those things in life. Hockey's just a sport that just makes me like I don't know. I can't really explain it.
Absolutely. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is basically you're seeing a lot of people, have like significant followings on social media. You know, they want to capitalize on that. They want to create their brand. They want to create other brands.
Right.
I find it interesting because I don't know if you know this already, but you know, my sister, like, because I know you're a big dog guy, and you know, my sister and I, we have an Instagram account for our dog Leo, our little Morky, and he has 163,000 followers.
Your dog is 163,000?
Yeah.
That's a lot. My dog's only got like 13,000 followers.
Vanderpump dogs, I think, or Lisa's like dog. They follow Leo. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
no.
Really cool. Yeah, we are big dog fans. I am, of course, a big dog. My girlfriend's a way bigger dog fan than I am, but she's got me more. I was always a fan of dogs, but obviously I'm a little into them more now.
I had to shameless plug it, but my question is though, have you kind of thought, and you have like the name too, like Jax Taylor with an X, you know?
Yeah.
Have you thought of like making like brands for yourself? Maybe not like a clothing brand, or have you thought about that? I mean, the name Jax.
Yeah, it's all in the works, and there's things like we're all talk every day. We always talk about our next moves and things like that, or what the next process is, or what the next step is, or what I'm going to do afterwards. Because you know, this show is not going to last forever, and God, I couldn't do this forever. You know, I would probably die. But
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah,
like you're over 600,000 Instagram followers. I mean, that's crazy.
That's not that many, to be honest.
Oh, come on! Don't even say that.
But you gotta, I probably block 100. I probably block.
But you're saying that when a guy like me has like 2,780, and I was stoked about that.
That's because I'm on television. That's the only reason. I'm an asshole. Who the hell would want to follow me?
I host the podcast.
Well, I mean, I get it. I understand it.
No, I'm totally joking. I'm totally joking. But it's my Twitter is pretty cool because I wrote for Sports Illustrated's NHL section, so I got 15,000 over there, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, no, but yeah, the branding I think is huge. I mean, you have to, right?
I mean,
you kind of
all that stuff's in the works. It's all things that I toy with every day, and obviously we're thinking of the next step and things like that. So yeah, there's things in the works. A lot of stuff I can't really talk about right now.
No, I know.
Because we're kind of just figuring out what we're going to do and what moves we're going to make.
I'm just glad it's in the back of your head because it's just
of course.
Yeah, it has to be, right?
It was in the back of my head 7 years ago. Like, you got to remember, we use this show as a platform, you know, and to do whatever you want to do. Some of us have ideas, some of us don't, but, you know, as long as you're using it as a platform to better yourself or to better, you know, a charity that you like or whatever, you know, whatever you want to do with it. But as long as you're using it to better yourself, we're a platform to help.
Absolutely. Well, Jax, I think we'll wrap up. But first off, thank you so much for coming on the show. We finally made it happen.
Awesome. Thanks. I'd love to come back. Let me know.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Let's do a playoff.
Yeah, let's have you on. Like maybe we could have you on with Martin when Martin comes back.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Who you got going? Who's your final two for the Cup? Nashville, Tampa.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, everyone's gonna say that. I mean, yeah. I mean, they there's a lot of people. I mean, the Golden Knights. You know, people want to see them go far.
Right?
People want to see them go far. People want to see. I think people want. Canada wants to see Winnipeg go far. I mean,
yeah, I would like to see. It's going to be tough. You know, I'm not going to count the Ducks out. Sometimes they're sleepers. The Ducks like to sleep, and their goaltending's been hot right now. I see them going kind of far. I see
the Ducks have some of the best, but I think the worst part about the Ducks is there are players that they don't even like. People forget about them. Like people, like Josh Manson is an amazing hockey player. He's an amazing defenseman. No one ever talks about him.
No, just Perry, Getzlaf, and Gibson.
And Ricard Raquel is probably no one talks. It's a downfall. It's something that really bothered me over the years about hockey, where like I'm not saying like the amazing players are amazing, right? But so many other players are not talked about because
I know, and those are the guys that keep the teams winning. To be honest,
it's like I mean, John Carlson has 61 points as a defenseman for Washington. Do you realize that? A lot of people don't realize that. You know what I mean? He has 61 points. John Carlson has got 61 points as a defenseman on Washington. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
and no one's really talking about it. I could go on and on.
I know. How's Ottawa do? I was reading on Twitter about the Carlsons losing their baby. That's so sad. That's so sad to hear that.
No, absolutely.
You know, best wishes to everybody, or best wishes to their family in Ottawa and everything. I definitely sent a tweet out to that. That was really sad to hear. I hope he's doing well. Is he going to be back soon?
I don't. We're not sure. We haven't nothing has been reported or anything. But no, that was unfortunate. And Jordan Stahl had a recent thing happen to Jordan Stahl too. around
really?
the trade at the trade deadline. Jordan Staal as well. Yeah, no,
He lost his child as well.
Yes.
That's
He did.
sad.
So it's unfortunate, but yeah, no, there's so many storylines. I mean, yeah, well, Jack, we're gonna have you back on. It's gonna happen. And where can people plug away? Where can people follow you on social media? At
Mr. Jax Taylor on Twitter, and I think it's Jax Taylor on Instagram as well.
Perfect. Well, this has been Popternative. So youtube.com/Popternative for all the video episodes like this. If you don't want to see my face, you could just listen to us on wherever you get a podcast. Like wherever there's where you listen to podcasts, Jax, that's where we are. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're everywhere basically.
Awesome. When is this gonna go?
Well, we'll talk about that after, like whenever you want. But until next time, this is Jax Taylor at PDB signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter